Brian, Robb, King and Sam Packard present Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle, Boston Celtics, Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. Oh yeah! Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle, Boston Celtics, Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. And a 19. Jaylen Brown, D. White, Crazy Joe. Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. With Tatum coming back. Steel Bottle.
Let's go, your family friends. Celtics. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Your family friends. Celtics, let's go.
Let's go, baby! Welcome back to Still Potable, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's internet and the winner of Celtics podcast of the month for December. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined by the great Ryan B. Robb from MassLive.com and by the kid, the god, the legend himself, Jay King. Both of them are Celtics beat reporters. We are here, obviously, to talk about the Boston Celtics, surging Boston Celtics, the phenomenal performance by Jaylen Brown, 50-point game against the Los Angeles Clippers. But first, I want to tell you guys that this episode is on the CLNS Media Network and brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code CLNS if you want to get $50 after playing your first $5 lineup. Also, if you enjoy this show, this is one of our 2 free shows a week, but we have daily podcasts for you on our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/stillpotable if you want game recaps, if you want updates from the arena from 2 of the best beat reporters covering the Boston Celtics in Brian Robb and Jay King. But fellas, we got to dive right into this. Jaylen Brown had one of the most impressive, I was gonna just say game, but I would say run from not being named December Eastern Conference Player of the Month, talking a lot of shit on Twitter.
It started before that.
It started in early January or early December, I would say.
It started New Year's Eve when he tweeted best two-way player in the game. And then he did not win Player of the Month, even though he thought he should win Player of the Month. And unlike I've never seen someone complain about the Player of the Month award. He went on his stream and was saying that he's been better than Shea. He's been better than Jalen Brunson. He then asked to guard Kawhi Leonard, who has been playing as well as anybody in the NBA, who might have been coming off the best 6-game stretch of his entire career, averaging just about 40 points a game, and the Clippers were winning every single game, the hottest team in the league. So he asked to guard Kawhi Leonard. He guards Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi wasn't guarding him, by the way. Kawhi was not guarding Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen was guarding Kawhi. Kawhi finished with 22 points on 6 for 17 shooting, his quietest night in a while. And Jaylen had 50. And it wasn't just a normal 50. This was one of the most insane displays of shot making I have ever seen. The third quarter especially was just so ridiculous. He started 7 for 7. He shot 7 for 8 in the quarter. The only miss he had was a 2 for 1 attempt from like 32 feet that was from so far beyond the arc. He hit a lefty floater over Ivica Zubac. He hit, I don't know how many, where he got to his spot, faded away, created space. He hit a double pump step.
That was the one that was the most nonsense. I was like, oh, he's on his bullshit tonight.
I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then after all that, the Clippers weren't that far out of the game. They really weren't. And he just kept making the right play. So he scores 19 points in the first 10 minutes of the third. And then he throws this lefty lob pass to Luka Garza, and Luka Garza gets fouled. Then he drives to the lane and collapses the whole defense, kicks it out to Peyton Pritchard, who sprays it to Anthony Simons for 3. And then he comes out in the fourth quarter and only plays a handful of minutes and scores 11 points. And the Clippers decided we're not going to let him get 50 once he got to 48. Probably should have decided that a little earlier, guys. Probably should have decided to up the pressure on Jaylen Brown a little earlier. And he gets to 50 anyway. He hit one shot from like basically falling into the first row of the stands, deep in the left corner. It was just one of the best displays of shot making, and for that to be capping off the week that Jaylen's had and the shit that he's talked, for him to then do that against Kawhi, against the Clippers, who have been so good lately, just about as epic a regular season performance as you could find.
I can't believe I'm going to go here, but the third quarter shot making brought back, it kind of reminded me of like the Bird 60-point performance in New Orleans. Just the level of like the crazy amount of shots from all angles, the fading out of bounds, like the one from the top of the key that you mentioned, Packard. Just that level, like I didn't know Jaylen had that in him, period. And for him to do that on a stage like that with a Clippers team that had won, not only won 6 straight games, won 6 straight games by double digits. Like they were cruising, but the Celtics and Jaylen Brown just brought them back down to earth in a hurry and showed like, okay, this is why you guys are a playing team, and this is why we are legitimately a top 5 team in the NBA right now. And the more we see this team now, the more, it looks real on that front.
It's like, normally I don't think being mad online is a good look, and like posting this much about not winning December Eastern Conference Player of the Month, I was initially a little bit skeptical. But one, I think he just deserved that award as well if you look at his stats compared to Jalen Brunson. But to talk all of that shit, then to go salsa dancing with someone who's apparently famous and very attractive, and then to have that woman sitting front row, and then you put up 50 points, just to back up all of that shit talk, and then after the game be like, and I'm going to continue to stream. It's not a distraction whatsoever. Like I'm doing well at all of these things. I have my own shoe brand. It's just been a ridiculous performance. Well, he's just been amazing all season. Like his December was impressive because he basically scored 30 points for the entire month. And the one time he didn't, he had a triple-double against the Cavs. Like he has been so dominant this year, and like the steadying force for this Celtics team. And the thing that's like interesting about this team is that Jaylen Brown has kind of been the one constant, and then they've just gotten great performances for 2 weeks from 6 different role players. But throughout it all, and the reason why this Celtics team is now a half game back of the Knicks for the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, I think a lot of it has to do with just how consistent Jaylen Brown has been, and not just like consistently an all-star player. Like he has been a 30-point scorer and given everything the Celtics have needed. And Jay, this question is going to piss you off, so I'm going to give it to B-Rob. But given the 65-game rule in the NBA, what are the Jaylen Brown MVP chances? Jay, I know you hate it. Stay silent for a little.
Still not great, but
come on, B-Rob, get in the hype.
All NBA first team chances are through the roof right now. Through the roof. Because when you look at the list of guys that's not going to be there, I think I haven't looked closely at Jay, but like he's very much there amongst qualifiers right now. And I don't know, like is a top 5 MVP finish in play this year? Absolutely. Could it go higher? We'll see who's left at the end of the road.
To me, it's too early to talk about MVP, especially in this era where if you miss 17 games, you can't make it. We have no idea what the discussion is going to look like. We have no idea. Like Jaylen could get hurt and get disqualified from that very quickly. What stood out to me about this whole last week, though, is just the insane confidence it takes to basically call your shot like he did. To go out there, Kawhi is coming up on the schedule. That you're going to ask to guard Kawhi Leonard, and you put out there in the universe best two-way player in the game, you know how stupid that is going to look if Kawhi then hangs 40 on your head and you can't get it going. And instead, he totally dominated the matchup. He took over the Intuit Dome to the point where there were MVP chants. People were standing and cheering every single time he touched the ball as he got close to 50. And there were a lot of Celtics fans there. Like, part of it was just Celtics fans. But his performance just captivated everyone. Joe Mazzulla said that he thanked Jaylen afterward and felt like it was an honor to be able to watch him play basketball like that. And, like, to me, obviously a game like that under any circumstances is ridiculous. Like, that's untouchable for most guys to shoot 18 for 26 and to just, like, I don't think he had any dunks or layups the entire game. It was all difficult shots. Every single one of those 18 was difficult shots. But to do that after setting it all up with stakes where you basically had to do that to back up everything you've said the last week, that is just writing a check, cashing that check, and telling the world to kiss your ass. And that's what set it apart from a lot of great performances that have happened over the years. Is like, who does that? Who goes out, talks all this shit, and then lifts his game to a level that he's probably never been at in a single game, with a career high 50 points, with the control he showed, especially in the second half. Like, that was basically a perfect second half he played. He essentially didn't miss until he got to 48, and then they were doing whatever they could to stop him from getting 50. And he knew he had to get 50 because it was a lopsided game and he was going to get pulled. And that was the only time he missed. Other than that, he was doing whatever he wanted. He was getting to whatever spot he wanted. He was making every right play. He was utterly dominant. There was nothing the Clippers could do whatsoever. And that's how you know that he's just leveled up. And he's leveled up all season. He's on pace now to be the second Celtics player ever, joining Jason Tatum, to average 30 points per game in a single season. And not only that, but he's done it every night. He's done it consistently. He's stayed on the court. He's made himself available. He injured his hamstring just before the regular season and kept playing. He's played back-to-backs. He's done everything. Like, he's giving everything to the Celtics right now. And I think as it's gone on and as he's realized, like, just what he's been able to do and just what he's been able to lead his team to be able to do, like, his confidence, as high as it was before, is just at a totally different level. And you can just see him evolving as the season goes on and just becoming more sure of it. Like, that was a guy at the absolute peak of his powers. That was an otherworldly performance that only comes together, you know, a very precious few amount of times. It was crazy to watch in person because he just got to a point where there was absolutely nothing anyone could do, and the whole crowd knew it, and it was such a great atmosphere even in Inglewood.
The reason why I'm advancing the MVP talks is because, one, I'm a biased sycophant and I would like him to win the MVP. But two, I think
what?
Sycophant? I can get you the dictionary definition. I think I used it correctly.
What did you mean by
a person who acts obsequiously towards someone in order to gain advantage? I don't think that's what exactly I was trying to say. Obsequiously, obviously.
That's in the definition.
Yeah, then you gotta look up obsequiously, and we're in a whole Merriam-Webster rabbit hole here. Obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. Yeah,
what the hell is going on here?
We've lost the plot.
You're a professional writer. You don't know any of these words?
No.
Okay, that's fair. Ball go in hoop. What I'm trying to say is that I think Jaylen Brown, well, given what you said, Jay, is like kind of not that he announced himself, not that people were unaware of what Jaylen Brown was, but I feel like it is a very much a narrative-based award, and I feel like nationally people paid attention to Jaylen Brown after he talked all that shit, then backed it up with 50 points. But the thing is, the Celtics keep winning, and I think that's an important part of it, because if the Celtics end up a 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference after what the expectations were this year, and so much of awards is like based on what we thought, what the collective media thought was going to happen going into this year, I think people are going to really make the argument like he is the most valuable player to a team that we thought was not going to be good, that many people picked was going to be a play-in team. And Jaylen Brown has been the best player on a team that is vastly outperforming expectations. I do think there's a chance, as Gambling Grant mentioned, like he's third in the odds right now to win after Luka and SGA. Like, obviously, I think SGA has the pole position on this, but if Jaylen Brown can continue to propel this version of the Celtics without Jason Tatum to a 1 or a 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, which I think he's plenty capable of because they're only a half game behind the Knicks, and I kind of think the Pistons are frauds. Like, we're moving towards a good chance of the Celtics being the 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference if they just continue to get this type of performance from Jaylen Brown and all the kind of contributions from a new role player every like 6 games who's just going to play out of his mind. Like I think if they finish that high and Jaylen averages 30 points a game, he has to be in the kind of the conversation. I think only with the 65 game rule taking out a lot of other kind of valuable candidates.
Yeah, if they get to that top 4, top 3, like very much in play, and then we'll see who's standing at the end of that. But to me right now, as big of a story as Jaylen is, the bigger story is like this is a 4-1 road trip, and that was a beatdown. Jaylen Brown was otherworldly. The rest of the Celtics roster was also fantastic, and Derek White was the second best player on the floor in that game with Kawhi and James Harden. And you're getting consistency off the bench. Jay, you guys talked to Jordan Walsh before the game. He gets pulled out of the starting lineup, comes back with a double-double, probably one of his best games of his career on top of that. So you have all these pieces kind of forming around while Jaylen's doing this. And now you take a look around the Eastern Conference, you take a look around the rest of the league outside of OKC where injuries are coming up left and right here. And it's like, now the sample size is big enough where bigger picture conversations about this team, it's time to be had, I feel like.
How big are you thinking? How big are you dreaming?
I mean, I'm thinking like I think they should be on equal footing of getting out of the East with teams like the Knicks and the Pistons right now, knowing that Jason Tatum is waiting and that they have a move to make at the trade deadline. Like that, there's nothing when you look at what those teams look like and the talent level of this team right now, and Jaylen Brown playing like the best guy in the Eastern Conference period. Then this is a season where it's like, instead of figuring out things for the future at the trade deadline, it should be like, all right, let's figure out things for now and the future, because this could be a window that no one expected to be there to at least, get out of this conference.
And Jaylen talked about that after the game. He's like, it should be talked about more. He's like, we got 5 or 6 new guys. We lost. He said
It's wild.
He included everybody, including Luke Cornett. He's like, they might all be Hall of Famers that we lost. So congrats to Luke on future Hall of Fame consideration. But the amount they lost to be this good and to have won this many games is such a testament to the coaching staff, such a testament to the returners and their competitiveness and their ability to scale up. And you look at all the 3 starters, with Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown, the 3 scorers in that starting lineup. And it has been so impressive how they've scaled up. Peyton Pritchard, like, he's just become one of the best isolation scorers in the league. He gets the paint, he converts everything. He hits everything from mid-range. He's breaking down defenses. He has been good enough that the Clippers decided to put Chris Dunn on him for most of the first half, and they were able to shut him down. And Derek White went off, and Jaylen Brown went off, and so teams are sometimes dedicating like significant resources to stopping Peyton Pritchard because of how great he's become in isolation. Then you see Derek White. Obviously, he struggled with shooting at the start of the year. Since then, he has been torching people while blocking shots every single game, while being this rim protector that has turned the Celtics into one of the best teams at protecting the paint in the entire league, which is very unexpected. And then we've already been raving about what Jaylen has done. Those three guys have scaled up to new roles in a way that has allowed everybody else to just do all the dirty work and not worry about anything else. And they've had a lot of guys step in and do that. They shuffle through guys. Jordan Walsh was starting for 20 games. Then he played 5 minutes against the Kings. Then they decide, oh, Jordan, you're playing well tonight. He plays just about 30 minutes against the Clippers, goes out, gets a double-double, plays great. Joe is pressing the right buttons with these guys. He's got a whole bunch of capable wings who can do a lot of different things, who provide all the energy, who fill in the cracks on that lineup. And this is a team that's mature beyond its years. And right now, like the top three scorers, and I would put Simons in there too. Simons has delivered quite a bit for that second unit, and they've been going on huge runs with that second unit. But this offense, like, nobody can stop this offense right now. Nobody.
They don't have the third best net rating in the NBA, which is absolutely wild to think about. They lost the first 3 games of the season. So, like, if they even just split one of them, they already have a much better record. But since then, they're playing at a much higher winning percentage. And I have a question for you guys. But first, I want to talk to you guys about our friends at Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. And whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks let you take control. If you had more on Jaylen Brown points yesterday, congratulations, because that would be a winner. Prize Picks is just a fun way. You pick more or less on a couple of different player stats. You can have a bunch of different stats, which I think is a fun way to play. You can do fantasy points, free throws attempted, fouls. You can even do across sports. So if you want to do a Jaylen Brown, Drake May pick, that is all up to you. Prize Picks is the most flexible way to test your takes. And Prize Picks, you can also do flex play where you get paid even if one of your picks misses. And that, if you want bigger payouts, you can go to the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. If you want to start today, download the Prize Picks app. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Now, the Celtics are, I've done some quick calculations here, 22-12. They have a 647 winning percentage. Something that I guess the NBA intelligentsia talks about, and Stool Greeny, friend of the pod, sometimes guest of the pod, comes on. He's big about and I think this was a Greg Popovich thing, or maybe it was a Phil Jackson thing. You're only a contender in this league if you win 40 games before you lose 20. It's the 40-20 rule. And so the Celtics would have to win 18 games before they're losing their next 8. And so that would have to be a 69 nice winning percentage over the next 26 games to try and get to that feat. B-Rob, do you think 40-20 is in play? Because I told you that they are currently at a 64% winning percentage, but if you take out those first 3 games, I think they're playing basically at the same exact clip. And if we look at their schedule in January, they have a very good chance to rack up a lot of wins against not the greatest of teams coming to the TD Garden.
Yeah, it was kind of like what this road trip was. It's just taking care of business against teams you should beat. And they had, one step back against the Blazers, kind of fell apart in the fourth quarter of that game with turnovers. But by and large, this team has been as consistent as any team in the league for the last, month and a half now. And you're getting the solid play from your star level talent. Obviously, superb play from Jaylen Brown last night, but he's been good for 30 points a night. Derek White, Payne Pritchard are out of their early season funks. And Joe Mazzulla has enough options up and down the rest of the bench there where 10, 11 guys can play any given night. And he's been pushing the right buttons, mixing and matching perfectly. So yeah, I have going 18-8 over the next 26 games. That would not be a surprise at all. I think that's very attainable. And even if they don't, it's like we're talking about the Eastern Conference here, guys. Like there's no one might.
There's no 40-20 needed in the East.
Exactly. There's no. We're talking about 35-15. That should be plenty potentially. Like this is what we're talking about here.
I want to take it back to Jaylen. I don't think we've discussed Jaylen enough because we talked about his game, but we haven't talked enough about his season and sort of the underlying message that he's been sending lately, which is that he has never gotten enough respect. And last night he said something to the effect of, "You media look at the game all wrong." Like I'm going to get the exact quote because I'm butchering it. But basically he said, you guys look at who can score and who can hit tough shots. And like you overlook all the other stuff that people do, the defense, the versatility on defense, the ability to guard different guys. And basically in his eyes, like people should have thought this was coming from him when Jason Tatum was out. And people should have realized that he was going to have a great season. I don't think like the shot making he's shown should have been expected. Like he's shooting,
shooting 60% on long twos and like at the career high efficiency.
He's been like Kevin Durant in the mid range, or Shai Gilgeous in the mid range.
He made one shot in the restricted area last night. And went 18 of 26.
It was one of the best shot making displays you'll ever see. But he just thinks people missed out. And I don't think people – like I actually think he has just leveled up his game to some extent. He has been able to get to his spots better than ever. He has been able to just play the game on his terms. But where I think people missed on Jaylen and the Celtics this season is just the level of competitiveness and like people were talking about a gap season. People were talking about how far the Celtics were going to fall in the standings. Like Brad Stevens, yes, he had to shed money. He was also going to bring in some hungry motherfuckers in those last spots on the roster. And we've seen that. Like everybody he's brought in, from the 19-year-old rookie Hugo Gonzalez to, his recent draft picks, Jordan Walsh and Baylor Shireman, to the free agents, Josh Minott and Luka Garza. Those guys come in and they just want to be part of winning. And they've all had their minutes yanked around, yanked up and down, and they keep coming back for more. And they keep competing and keep delivering and keep impacting winning. And then Joe, he's a maniac, utter maniac. The guy was playing machine gun sounds in training camp. He knew the old formula was not going to work. He was not going to just lay down and let this team be bad. He was going to turn his team into maniacs. And he's done that. And from day one, he set a tone that they have to be like just a totally different, they have to have a totally different level of edge than they did in the past because they don't have the talent to succeed on talent and the polish to succeed on polish anymore. And so he made that change. And then all the returners just did whatever they could to buy into that. And they started 0-3 and they were all saying, you know what? Let's be patient with this. Let's just keep growing. There's a lot here to build on. And they've just all taken the right approach. I think that's what got lost. The willingness of those guys to compete, the ability to come back from adversity. I don't know whether it was when the Celtics lost. It probably was when the Celtics lost. It might have been when Jason Tatum, the night Jason Tatum got injured and they fell behind 3-1. But Jaylen was like, I feel like death. Said, I feel like death. And that's the level of care. That's the care factor that he has. That's the care factor he's brought to this. They were not going to let this team be bad. And it even, like, those guys have fought to play every single game. Jaylen has fought to play every single game. He didn't see this as a gap year. He saw this as another year to get better, a year where, like, he could figure things out that he's never had to figure things out before because his role was different. And the way they've attacked this whole season, from Brad down to Joe, down to Jaylen, down to everybody else, has been so impressive. But I also think that part should have been expected, because this organization has brought in a lot of like-minded guys who are super competitors, who fight for every possession. And Jaylen, like, he doesn't shy away from a challenge. He wants to go at Kawhi just like he's wanted to show all season long what he's capable of. And he's doing it every single night. And so, yeah, I think the production, sure, that could take people by surprise. But the approach he's taken to this season and the approach that the Celtics have taken to this season, I don't think anyone should be shocked that they did not treat this like a gap year, and that they chose to instead compete and thought that they could compete to be something in the East.
Jay, what you're describing about this, like, organizational approach to basketball, the organizational approach to just effort into getting in guys who are, like, want to work harder. I mean, some might describe them as the hardest working, best shaped team in the league. You know, you're describing you're basically describing Celtics culture. And I'm so loath to say that because I've made fun of Heat culture for so long, but I might just repurpose it and take it and be like, it is like a whole organizational approach to winning. I just saw a clip of Jason Tatum on First Take with Stephen A. Smith like a couple months ago, just talking about how, like, and this is when he, like, no one really thought he was going to come back. And it was like, no, we play for championships in this organization. And that we're, like, even if I'm out, I fully expect those guys to go out there and compete. And there is just a compete level. And again, I don't have a better word than culture. I'll go back to my dictionary and see if there's a better way to describe it, B-Rob. But there is just an organizational approach since Brad Stevens has kind of, and not to say Danny Ainge and Doc Rivers weren't part of that. I think it definitely started earlier than that. But there's a consistent dedication to the process of winning and continually getting better. It is, I would say, a growth mindset, a Kaizen-like approach that's been there since Brad Stevens. And so, and this is I think the second time it's happened. I think after that 2019 season when Kyrie left and Al Horford left, there was a similar level of, like, expectation that the team wasn't going to be as good because talent has left. And unlike the Heat, like, the Heat have had some serious down years and play around the 8th seed of the conference when they kind of lose some talent, despite them having body fat less than 5%. The Celtics culture is actually about winning basketball games. I just think it's impressive. Both in that 2020 season, they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals when Daniel Tice is your starting center. It's very impressive what they're doing here with Nehemias Queta, and it's just that approach to winning. It continues to defy expectations, B-Rob.
Yeah, I mean, the culture, top to bottom, from Brad to Joe to the players to the staff, has always been there. There's little doubt that was going to be there entering the season. You can have culture all you want. No one expected this from, like, Luka Garza. No one expected this from Ugas. Like, this is something. There's 8 guys on this team that are shooting above 37% from 3, and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard are not on that list. And so that is what they are doing right now, like, top to bottom. And from a roster standpoint, from a buy-in standpoint, from a knowing your role standpoint, is like I'm sorry, Jaylen. Yes, we are surprised. No one expected this. No one expected to be able to hit. It's like they got these lottery tickets, these minimum contracts, and or drafting 20 overall. Every one of these guys are hitting right now, and even a guy like Simons that you were potentially considering moving in the summer, he looks for the last month he's like has the best plus minus in like the league. So the fact that you're getting all this coming together, it's only 35 games, but this goes beyond the coach. This is like everyone, the perfect storm, if you will, is coming together right now. And I don't know if it's still going to be there in March and April. Like that's going to be the bigger question. But for now, what they've put together here is the perfect collection of buy-in, motivation, and Joe Mazzulla's, kind of remade offensive system here that is firing on all cylinders.
Every time I hear Jaylen talk about the importance of two-way players, I just think about how much it must piss him off that people love Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
he whipped the Mavericks' ass in that finals. He guarded Luka. He drove straight by Luka. He was the finals MVP, and it's always Luka who gets the love, who gets the first team All-NBA nods, who gets the accolades. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think Luka is a generational talent, and I know he has his warts, and defensively he's not great, but what he does offensively is just super special. But every time he talks about the worth of two-way players, I'm like, man, I would love to just hear his unfiltered thoughts on the adoration that Luka Doncic receives.
You might hear it on his stream. I mean, if you get in the comments,
he might just talk about it now. He might just come out and be like, yeah, that fat bastard Luka gets way too much love. I kicked his ass in the finals. I've been kicking his ass ever since. And all you idiots in the media just want to gas him up when I'm sitting right here kicking his ass and nobody shows me love.
It's too bad that Luka missed the game against the Celtics for the Lakers because of the birth of his child. Because it's always fun to see like Jaylen has certain guys around the league, and I think it's like always the stars. Like at him asking to guard Kawhi tonight, where he always kind of feels like I'm taking that responsibility. But it's going to be interesting. Robb and I were talking before the show. It's a damn shame the Celtics don't play the Thunder until twice in March, because like that is like the one big test that they haven't been able to take this year. I mean, the Nuggets are coming in and they're going to be without Jokic. I guess we'll see what the Celtics can do against the Spurs when they come in later this week. But Jay and Robb, you just like said some things that I think we've touched on it, but it still doesn't make sense to me. And I think it boils down to Joe Mazzulla being a very good coach, and he won Eastern Conference Coach of the Month for December, an award I'm sure he's thrilled to get. I'm sure he was talking about it a lot on the road trip, Jay.
Yeah, he talked about it. He raved about himself for about 5 minutes.
That's what I do here. That's what I do.
He actually started a live stream on Twitch to demand more recognition.
But the thing to me that's been crazy about this season is that, and like they've gotten like a bunch of these role players to hit, but never really at the exact same time. And Joe Mazzulla's ability to press the buttons to be like, all right, the first couple of weeks, it's going to be Minot. Then we're going to turn to Walsh. Walsh is not going to be as consistent. We're going to go to Ugo. Ugo's kind of been great the entire time, but it's like Garza started off the season, and then we're going to these small ball lineups, and then we're going to bring Garza back. His ability to kind of ignite these guys at different times where it's like, I know I'm probably not going to get 40 great games from Josh Minot, or I know I'm not going to get 40 great games from Luke Garza or Anthony Simons. I think that's what they're building to be able to rely on those guys every single night. But his ability to kind of have those guys continue to improve, Jay, and just like, and definitely prematurely wrote Garza off as just like, oh, he's not like He's not really going to be a contributor to this team as much as like I think people thought. And then he comes in and is like leading the league in screen assists and is giving them great offensive rebounding. Simons, I think he's played a lot more consistently, but he's been great on offense and like off ball, catch and shoot threes, like off ball. Simons has been, I think, fantastic in terms of taking advantage of his opportunities. I think a lot of credit has to go to Joe Mazzulla, Jay, just because of it's not easy to get 5 guys who are not necessarily know exactly what their role is, but they're going to be ready to contribute at any point tonight. And like, so they have this core of the 3 guys you mentioned, Jaylen, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard. But the mixing and matching of just having 5 or 6 guys to play around them and still play winning basketball, I think has been insanely impressive.
And they found, like Joe likes to call it, finding different identities. And he said that a lot during the title year and the year after about how they wanted to find different identities. To do it with a group of unproven guys, most of whom have never played any significant minutes at all in the NBA before, is super impressive. And like lately they have absolutely whipped ass with Derek White, Sam Hauser, and Anthony Simons on the floor. Those guys have usually shared the floor with Luka Garza, and that's just been a great look. Like Luka Garza, who'd never played before, and Anthony Simons, who was always on losing teams before, and you throw out an energy guy like Hugo Gonzalez and a shooter like Hauser and Derek White, who does everything. They just dismantled everybody. So you got that identity. Then you've got the small lineup with Minot, which played really well when it was out there. Joe said something interesting the other day about the Luka Garza minutes. He said basically the expected numbers were much, much better than the actual lineup numbers earlier in the year. So when everybody was up in arms, including us, about the Luka Garza net rating and how poorly his minutes had gone, internally, Joe said that the Celtics knew the expected numbers were just like much.
Okay, that's bullshit, because then he didn't play Garza for 3 weeks, so clearly he saw something wrong with the minutes.
The analytics suggested he never should have benched Garza.
He knew all along, Packard. He knew all along, okay?
He knew all along that benching Garza for 2 months with the analytics would return. That's some ballyhoo.
Garza's playing a ton better. I mean, like that might be true, Jay. Like the expected, like this stretch, like defensively, he has been fine, which was just a huge step up. That was, I feel like, the biggest problem before. He was like fouling so much, and then all he was doing is, I feel like he was obviously offensive rebounding all year long. But I feel like in this stretch, not only is he hitting threes too, which helps, but it seems like the screen sets, like he's getting off this. The timing he has with the Celtics guards has gotten a lot better in this second stint, and now they're finding him. He's doing phenomenal finishing. He deserves all the credit here, but like I believe that the expected numbers were there, but Garza's taken it to a different level with it. He's been back,
and he's also playing with all shooters, so that screening is super impactful.
Yeah,
because he's out there with White and Simons and Hauser a lot, and all those guys need is a sliver of space to get their shots off, and he can usually provide that. So I think that's been big. And then, yeah, like they truly just like toggle between wings who just go nuts. And then Joe like treats him like shit for a little while so that they want to play even harder. Gary Washburn and I talked to Jordan Walsh before last night's game, and he must have known at the time that he had been taken out of the starting lineup. I didn't know that he wasn't starting. All I knew was that he had played 5 minutes against the Kings. He did not start in the second half of that game. So we were asking him about that, and he just seemed like sad, out of it, and was talking about how like it was a good run while he was starting, or
you didn't put 2 and 2 together when he started talking about starting in the past tense.
I was thinking to myself, like, this guy might not be ready to play tonight.
You're gonna send him home.
And then instead, he comes in, immediately makes an impact. He's guarding Harden, he's guarding Kawhi, he's grabbing offensive rebounds, he's doing all the energy plays you want from Jordan Walsh. He then starts hitting threes. What did he finish? 5 for 7 from the field. it was like one of the games he had when he was first arriving on the scene. And credit to Joe, he's pushing the right buttons with these guys. When they get comfortable, he forces them to get uncomfortable, and he forces them to reach another level to earn their way back in his good graces. And he's just seems like he's pushing all the right buttons with these guys. And I say that a lot goes to those guys because they have ridden the roller coaster of minutes. They've ridden the roller coaster of emotions, and they've just stayed tough-minded and continued to try to impact winning. So salute to the coaching staff, but salute to those guys too, because they have truly just kind of submitted themselves to the torture of playing for Joe Mazzulla and have just kind of stood up to the challenges that he puts in front of them and keep coming back better and impacting the game.
Do you guys think they listen to machine gun sounds like in their personal headphones now when they're getting ready for a game just because Joe Mazzulla has so warped their brains?
That's what changed for Luka Garza actually the last few weeks. He just listens to
The thing that's pretty special about this team, and I know Jaylen, really, as you mentioned, Jay loves to talk up the two-way player part of it and his defense. And, he's the one who wanted to guard Kawhi last night. But the luxury the Celtics have of having Jaylen Brown and Derek White as your two main starters, but then just to be able to throw Ugo Gonzalez and Jordan Walsh on Harden and Kawhi last night, just so Jaylen Brown mentions the two-way playerness, but he doesn't necessarily have to pick up the best perimeter player on the other team because you have these two guys who are kind of interchangeable and are extremely young and give a tremendous effort. And then you have Derek White, the best shot blocking guard in the history of shot blocking and guards, just hanging out back there. The Celtics defense, it has not been their strong suit this year, but to be able to have those guys on the perimeter, especially when you don't have the greatest rim protection, especially in moments when Nimi is not in the game and you are having to rely on Luka Garza, the ball pressure the Celtics can throw out there from their non-stars, so their stars can actually kind of maybe expend their effort a little bit more on the offensive end, B-Rob. It's just such a luxury. Just be we can, if we wanted to, against any one star player, we can throw Ugo or Jordan Walsh at them for 48 minutes and have a pretty solid roster like that. It's not a giant weakness on the team where maybe teams with other defensive specialists might have that same experience.
Without a doubt. And that's not just saving Jaylen. I think that's saving Derek White and Peyton Pritchard too, for keeping them being able to have their energy on the offensive end of the floor for big chunks of this night. And the amazing thing now, if you're a Celtics fan, you're watching this, these guys are so young. All these guys that whether it's Walsh or Ugo, even a guy like, Shireman, Minot, these are guys that are young. They're probably only going to get better from this point. And things can change year to year, obviously, consistency, you don't know where it goes, even obviously from month to month. But now if you're Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla, you're just you're kind of dealing with a insane surplus in that area, Packard. And that makes life just so much easier for planning for games night to night and just planning for the future in terms of okay, how can we get this team back to being a top tier contender? Are we closer than we ever thought we might be right now with Jason Tatum in the holster? And now with the chemistry of this group coming together like this, what do we do now? Do we just let this ride without making any major tweaks in a month? Do we try to make a bigger splash to get that one extra big to we're better positioned to go against these massive front lines in the Eastern Conference? That's all fascinating to see, but the evaluation period couldn't be going much better right now as you're looking at this group for 50 games here before decisions have to be made.
In true Kaizen fashion, folks, and having a growth mindset, I feel like we've gotten too high. And the rules are you can't get too high, you can't get too low, and you need to focus on continuously improving. And so the Celtics have played phenomenal. They're playing above expectations. But Jay, I guess the question is, what can this Celtics team do to continue to get better? Because I just talked about their great kind of defensive wings, but I still think I don't know where their net rating ranks in terms of ranking, in terms of defense. It was 18 last time I checked. I'll check it right now.
We're a big man.
15th.
So that was going to be the question. Is it adding a big man? Is it something they do internally? But it seems like, given your song of trade for a big man, I think I figured out what your answer is.
Yeah, trade for a big man. I think that has to be. Brad said, what was that, a few weeks ago, that he wanted to see how the team progressed before the trade deadline, to evaluate everything before going into that. Here they are, half game out of second place in the Eastern Conference. Jason Tatum still hasn't come back yet, and everything is going well for them. Jaylen Brown is playing at a level he's going to finish on a lot of MVP ballots. Derek White has just totally risen after, a slow shooting start to the season, and he's doing everything for the Celtics. Every young guy has hit. They are winning consistently. They are one of the best offenses in NBA history, which is ridiculous to say. And they need a big man. They need one more big man. So go get him.
I just looked it up. They are dead even. They're 15th in the league in terms of net rating. They are the median net rating. They are just exactly a league average. And so they need to do something to change that, the defensive, especially focusing on defensive rebounding. B-Rob, I feel like you're the king of the cap and the fake trades on this podcast. Who's out there? Who is the potential target? What did Zubac? Like, I think he's too rich. Like, who is it? Day'Ron Sharp? Are we just settled on Day'Ron Sharp to fix all the Celtics' woes?
That's the price is right for Day'Ron Sharp in terms of the money. We'll be diving into this plenty in the months to come here on Still Potable. Subscribe at patreon.com/stillpotable.
Ooh, sneaky little plug there from B-Rob.
But yeah, the question is, it's like, what type of piece are you willing to pull to get your center? It's like, are you moving Simons? Are you moving potentially Hauser, another wing, because it's smaller? You don't want to pay your center like $20 million, and that's just a surplus suddenly on the roster. And
are you giving up first-round pick this year because you have a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old already in your camp? Like, you don't necessarily need to develop another guy?
There's a lot to manage, and what's the payroll for the team? What's the budget? Is the budget changing for this group because suddenly it looks like a team that's a legitimate threat to win the Eastern Conference? And so, yeah, that's a team that Billy Banners is ready to come in and be like, listen.
Right now. He's probably has no self-control. He's just pumping his fist on the bench, be like, trade for someone. Just like, whatever you want, Brad.
What's our tax number? 40, let's double it. $80 million. $80 million. Repeater tax. Who cares? This team is going to be the biggest Cinderella story ever to come out of the Eastern Conference.
If I see Billy Banners on the Appalachian Trail, I'm calling him Skittles, and I'm demanding they blow up the luxury tax to trade for another big.
I think that would be appropriate.
I don't think it would be appropriate at all. I don't think you can just yell at a man and call him by his trail name.
They're the trade deadline in the middle of January.
That should actually be your project over, the winter.
Tracking Billy Banners on the Appalachian Trail.
The next month you should spend searching for Billy Banners on the Appalachian Trail.
Searching for Billy Banners would be an amazing content series where I'm just decked out in all Celtics gear on the Appalachian Trail. You're just like, Skittles? Skittles, is that you?
I think you got to do it. You got to do it.
All right, I'll take some time off work and get that done. Folks, we appreciate you guys.
Hold on. Before we end up, I got to shout out to Mark. I think his name's Mark. I'm the worst ever with names.
Got to shout out to this guy. I don't know his name.
I was at the Intuit Dome. I was on the phone with my wife before the game, and Mark came up to me. It was like, Still Potable. And then he was with his family, and he started. It was the coolest thing. They were like, basically asked him, "Who's that? Like, who the hell is that chump?" And he started singing the Still Potable.
Oh,
song,
that's rock.
And
nice.
They knew immediately. Like, you could tell he listens all the time. It was awesome to meet him, take a picture with him. That was super cool that not only he understood, but his daughters understood that song and what it means. And that was really, really cool for me. So shout out to Mark. I think your name is Mark. I'm truly the worst with names. I'm very sorry, but that meant a lot to me meeting you and your family very briefly.
And just let's make it clear, if you see any of us in public, please start singing the theme song directly at us, no matter what the context. That would make my day. Just as I am searching for Billy Banners on the Appalachian Trail, you guys should search for us and just start singing the Still Potable theme song. That is a brilliant story and encapsulation of the Still Potable community that we're building over on the Patreon. And so if you want to be a part of that, if you want to be part of the chat that is popping off every single night during these games on Patreon, if you want to hear game recap pods, we've got a lot of games coming up in January, and we'll be podcasting after most of them. Come on over to patreon.com/stillpotable. We've got Celtics podcast for you every single day of the week. And we really appreciate everyone who's watching now on the YouTubes, everyone who's part of the chat here. It's a fun Celtics community. It's the best Celtics podcast. We really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you just watching on the free show, please subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, rate and review. It really is helpful for us as we continue to grow as a podcast. We really appreciate everyone tuning in. For B-Rob.
Got one more thing. The wall at Intuit Dome is so stupid. It is a gimmick. It is unnecessary. It makes no difference. It is barely, you can barely tell, if you can tell at all, that it is any different from any stadium in America. And I see through your marketing gimmick, Steve Ballmer. It's nonsense. It's poppycock. And it's just truly does not make a difference. So the wall is dumb. The arena is cool. The Jumbotron is the greatest Jumbotron in the history of Jumbotrons. It's like the sphere of NBA arenas, but the wall is stupid, and we see through your tricks, and we know it's not special.
Were they doing the wave on the wall?
No, but if they did, that's basically the only way it could have been stupider.
Still potable, still potable. The Boston still potable, still potable.
Oh, yeah.
Slow down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.